Building a house from the ground up is the American dream, but it doesn't come easy. To build their 4-bedroom mid-century modern house, this Denver couple will have to solidify their soggy lot.
We really wanted to not have this happen.
This could be bad, very bad.
And figure out how to make paper plans work in reality.
What you
feels
want
a
to
little
do.
bit like we're redesigning the kitchen all over again.
They'll go from saturated soil to a 3,000 square foot modern dream home. All in the next 30 minutes on Raising House. Dave and Natalie Huff have a growing family, and they need more space.
When we found out we were expecting our second child, that's when Dave and I knew it was time for a new house.
We were living in a townhouse in downtown, and well, it was perfect for us. It was our style. It didn't fit the lifestyle for having 2 kids. A lot of stairs and sort of a grittier part of town, so that prompted us to start looking at moving.
The Huffs started planning a 3,000 square foot, 4-bedroom split level with a courtyard to be built by design and build firm West Standard.
We stumbled across West Standard and their design of a mid-century style home, which is exactly what we were trying to find.
They also rented out their townhouse and moved into a rental themselves.
It's just a little more than a little chaotic around here.
Problem is, their lease is up in 6 months. If their new house isn't ready, the Huffs may have to move in with Dave's folks.
I love my in-laws, and I'm so grateful that they're willing to support us in this way, but nobody wants to live with their in-laws. That's hard on a marriage.
Before they can start building their new house, the Huffs have to meet with West Standard construction manager Brian Dotson and the rest of the team to sign off on the plans.
Derek's our architect, and we'll start the ball rolling with all the architectural design, and Jonas will really carry it all the way from start to finish as well.
West Standard will build the Huffs a house based on their Oasis One computer model, customized with Dave and Natalie's help. West Standard says they can build the Huffs a modern, child-friendly house before they have to move in with Natalie's in-laws.
We're really hoping to have a house built within about 6 months. Is that going to be a problem?
Well, you know, in Denver, we've got some weather to attend with here. We could have some downtime, but we'll certainly try to make it up in the spring.
Yeah, because 6 months would really be ideal.
All the paperwork signed, it's time to get to work. December 20th. The crew has 6 months to finish, and West Standard Design and Build's construction manager, Brian Dotson, and crew are ready to break ground. Muddy ground. The Huffs lot has a high water table, making the ground soft and soggy and presenting a challenge to the builders. To create a stable foundation on this mushy lot, West Standard will put in piers, concrete support columns.
We are just starting the concrete work on this build. Today we've got 32 piers to drill. They're going to be holding up the foundation of the house.
The piers will support a concrete slab, and the slab will support the house. First step, drill holes through all this mud and into bedrock.
With the high water table, we wanted to pierce that water table and get down to the bedrock.
Second step, sink a steel tube into those drilled holes. Third, put concrete into those holes. Brian and his team have to get the piers in without delay.
The Denver weather could turn icy any day now. Concrete won't cure very well in cold weather.
But there's a big potential problem. The high water table beneath the lot. If water fills up the holes, it could cave them in before the concrete is poured.
If the water comes up high enough, it'll degrade the side walls of the hole that they're drilling. It's a pretty big deal if we hit water on this site.
If the water keeps them from getting the piers in, they might have to redesign the whole foundation, setting the build back by weeks and costing thousands of dollars.
So we just pray to God we don't hit that.
The drill team seems to be lucky. On the first 29 holes, the dirt comes up dry, which is good.
We are convinced this is going to work. So we've been able to put concrete and the rebar and everything into them.
But then,
it looks like we've got some water. This was one of our bigger fears. We really wanted to not have this happen.
This could be bad, very bad.
How many cubic yards of concrete are produced each year in the United States? Is it A, more than 120 million, B, more than 250 million, C, more than 340 million, or D, more than 410 million? We asked, how many cubic yards of concrete are produced each year in the United States? The answer, C, more than 340 million. In Denver, Dave and Natalie Huff are building a 3,000 square foot modern split-level house, and they have to be in by June. But as builder Brian Dotson puts in concrete piers to support the house, he hits a major snag.
There has been some water spotted. This was one of our bigger fears, and we've really got to take care of that.
The water could collapse the holes he's drilling before the concrete can be poured. And if the piers aren't in place, the foundation slab can't be poured. No slab, no house. Brian needs a solution, quick.
We talked with our engineer, and he's recommending getting that concrete down as fast as we can so we can push that water up.
If the concrete pushes the water out of the hole and stops the flow, problem solved.
We've really hit some good water here. It's really delayed things.
The crew starts pumping concrete into the hole. Now is the moment of truth. If the plan works, the hole will fill up with concrete and stop the water from rising. To everyone's relief, the concrete does its job.
Absolutely a good thing that the concrete's pushing that water out, and that's what we wanted to see.
With 2 piers to go, Brian talks to the head of the drilling team about going forward.
So what do you think we have here on the rest of the other holes here and the other 2 that we got to pour still?
It's a little bit difficult to say, but as long as they get in, get it drilled out, cleaned out quick, and seal in, there's not going to be an issue. It's not caving off quickly.
The crew pours the last 2 piers and the foundation is stable. The concrete pour worked.
Hit the bedrock that we needed to stabilize the home, so we're very satisfied with today's work.
The next step is pouring a concrete slab on top of these piers. But before that happens, a blizzard blows in, bringing sub-zero temperatures.
As you can tell, it is quite a mess out here. We've been on probably our 2nd week of horrible weather, and it's really delaying things on the construction end. The whole job site's pretty much non-existent with workers.
When concrete dries, it goes through a chemical reaction, but only if it isn't too cold. Concrete that cures in weather below 40 degrees can be seriously weakened or even crack. And the bad weather isn't leaving anytime soon.
Got about a week and a half. We're behind on getting that concrete slab in the ground, so we're certainly going to have to make up some time when we start framing.
Finally, 2 weeks after the piers went in, the snow lets up, and Brian's team can pour the concrete slab. He wants to make up for lost time, but even after pouring the slab, Brian still has to wait. A foundation like this can take 4 weeks to fully cure, but it's strong enough after 1 week for the crew to start framing. Brian's crew works fast to get back on schedule. While the front of the house will look like a flat-roofed 1-story ranch, the design is more complicated than that. The sloping lot allows Brian to give more space to the Huffs even without a basement. The lower level will be exposed.
The beauty of this lot gives us the opportunity to put a 2-story in the back, a ranch style in the front, giving us our aesthetic look that we were after with a modern mid-century home.
But while workers put on the roof, builders Brian Dotson and Mark Schulte see a problem with the kitchen's design.
So Mark, here we have the dining room, and we were talking about how much room we're going to have in there. The island on the plans was about a 4-foot by 10-foot space, and it might be a little tight. We might consider moving over this peninsula.
The kitchen island is too big. Its design makes a trip down the kitchen stairs a pretty tight squeeze.
So we certainly got to talk with the Huffs and Jonas about that. These decisions we're going to make on the kitchen are pretty critical to keep on schedule.
This is going to mean big changes. One problem with the kitchen snowballs into many.
This
what you
feels a
wanna
little
do.
bit like we're redesigning the kitchen all over again.
That makes me a little nervous.
In Denver, Dave and Natalie Huff are building a 4-bedroom, modern, split-level home. But while workers put on the roof, builders Brian Dotson and Mark Schulte see a problem with the kitchen's design.
It might be a little tight. We might consider moving over this peninsula.
On the plans, Brian moves the island over 6 inches to make room for exiting the stairs. But that may mean the Huffs need to change their cabinet design.
So we'll have to get with the Huffs to see how far along we are with the cabinets.
A change to the kitchen could wreak havoc with Brian's schedule. The next day, as the crew completes the roof, the Huffs show up to talk about the kitchen issue.
The island on the plans was about a 4-foot by 10-foot space. And so I guess one of my concerns were the stairs. So we did end up pushing the stairs back a little bit to give you a little bit more room.
This is a little tight. It might feel like we gotta watch our hip around the corner of the island right there.
Very true.
I just got really worried about the girls running down the stairs and right into the side of the island.
And now, if you change the island, then you have to rearrange the appliances, maybe move the cabinets over, and then make sure you've got clearance on all sides for kids to run around.
This
what you
feels a
wanna
little
do.
bit like we're redesigning the kitchen all over again.
It does. That makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
And that'll throw a little bit of extra time back into the mix, but we'll
I
have to
liked
sit
our
down.
kitchen before.
I'm gonna need to take a look at the plan, see how much of that will affect the plumbing, electric, countertops, cabinets.
Yeah, because the plumbing's already
Wow,
set in
yep.
concrete.
It is.
Moving plumbing and electrical is a last resort. It could mean tearing up part of the concrete slab, moving the pipes and wires, and then repairing the slab. A drastic move like that could put the build behind. And the change could cost more than time. There's also the matter of cold, hard cash.
Is that putting us over budget?
And we didn't feel like we should charge the Huffs for that redesign, so we decided to take it on as a team and get it reworked and redesigned, and at no cost to the Huffs.
That's good news for Dave and Natalie. But now they have to rethink their kitchen.
As opposed to just ramming this thing through, we need to take the time, stop, and make the changes so we can have a safe environment for the girls.
One day later, at West Standard's office, Dave meets with designer Jonas DiCaprio to fix the kitchen layout.
We noticed that you're getting that pinch point at the entry from the stairs, also for the girls coming and going out of the upstairs. So what I did, kind of just compress the kitchen down some.
Jonas shortens the island by 2 feet. But now the Huffs are short on cabinet space.
Maybe as an alternative, we look at a bit of a deeper cabinet on the lower, and then that will still provide us enough area to step up.
To solve the problem, Jonas plans to make the upper cabinets smaller while giving the lower cabinets more depth. Same cabinet space, just arranged differently. But while West Standard's design work is free, the reconfigured cabinets could be more expensive.
Our biggest obstacles at this point are we don't know how much this is going to cost if we have somebody custom build this and how long it would take.
To find out, Jonas will have to send the design to the cabinet maker for a quote. Back at the site, Brian works to save the Huffs money with energy-efficient windows.
We've got a really great window package on this home. The interior is wood, so the outside will be a metal, and a low E window, which is low emissivity.
By installing a number of the low E windows, Brian is looking to save the Huffs hundreds of dollars a year on energy costs, as well as adding a unique sense of style to the home.
With the mid-century modern design, we've got a lot of clear story windows, which are the higher windows wrapped around the whole structure. It really gives it a lot of good sunlight coming in.
With 8 weeks to go on the build, the house is coming along. The Huffs have had mahogany French doors custom made. They'll have to be stained after they're hung, but they're on site and ready to go up.
It was made off-site in California. It's mahogany, and it's super heavy.
Doors are hung. Workers are laying stone tile for a rock wall in one of the bathrooms. The entire house will have exposed block on the walls. Workers thin set the wall, then thin set the stone for a good bond.
You mortar the back of your tiles or your stones because it makes sure that there's no dust, creating a bond breaker. If you just took the dry stone and stuck it into the thin set, you don't know if you're going to get good adhesion on the back.
With just 7 weeks left until deadline, the Huffs show up at the site to see their new cabinets.
We got our kitchen cabinets delivered, so we're going to go in and look at them. And
Awesome. I can't wait to see them.
yeah,
All right.
Wow, there's some giant cabinets.
They're not installed yet, but the cabinets look good to the Huffs.
Coolest thing.
They seem to have the look and the amount of space Dave and Natalie wanted.
Oh my gosh, the cabinets. I can't wait to see them up on the wall and to see appliances in them. It's going to be fantastic. Seeing the cabinets in the house makes it feel more finished and like we will actually be in here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, those are huge cabinets.
And as it turns out, redesigning the kitchen paid off. Literally.
By reducing the size of the kitchen, we actually used less cabinetry, which ended up saving us some money in the long run.
The next day, it's time for the new cabinets to go in.
Today we're gonna set all the kitchen cabinets and then we'll come back Friday and Saturday to put on doors and drawer fronts and get everything installed.
With only 5 weeks left before the Huffs move-in deadline, West Standard has crews working in every corner of the house.
Today we've got quite a bit of activity in the house. We've got the cabinets going in today, tile and rock wall going up. We've also got a whole bunch of other activity going on, electricians in there and so on.
Then the crowning touch arrives. The 150-pound Caesar stone countertop.
all right, guys, the Caesar stone is here.
But it doesn't quite fit.
Can you go forward anymore on your side? No.
The kitchen conundrum continues.
Sometimes things come out a little large.
In Denver, Dave and Natalie Huff have 2 weeks to get into their new house, a 4-bedroom modern split level, where they'll be forced to move in with Dave's folks. They've had to redesign their kitchen mid-build.
This feels a little bit like we're redesigning the kitchen all over again.
It does. That makes me a little nervous.
And now that the countertops are in, there's a new problem. The Peninsula's stone countertop is too big, but the crew has the solution, a diamond-edged saw blade that cuts stone like butter. They have to be careful. The expensive stone leaves no room for error, and if it's cut too short, it's useless.
Certainly leaving it long is better than having it short out in the field, so we want to just be able to cut it on site and make it fit just right.
After taking the stone out of the kitchen and cutting off 1/8 of an inch, the fit is perfect. Problem solved. About 30 subcontractors work at fever pitch with just days before the move-in date.
This is kind of like the last 2 yards on the football field, and it's crunch time.
The finishing touches go in, and West Standard completes the Huffs' home on time. In 6 months, the Huffs have gone from a sloped and saturated lot to a 3,000 square foot mid-century modern dream home.
I really love this house. It's exactly what we had envisioned.
It's open and spacious. The hallways are wide. There is always wonderful sunlight coming in from all sorts of windows in all different angles.
This just feels a lot more kid-friendly. We got more space, it's quieter. We could walk to the park.
I think my favorite room in the house might be the kitchen. I'm in it a lot with the girls, making meals, and it just works so well.
I love the courtyard. We could open up the window wall between the kitchen and the courtyard. It just added a completely different element and dynamic to the house.
We've moved a lot through our marriage, and to know that we're in this house and planning to stay here for a significant portion of time is incredible.
This definitely feels like we're in the right place. It's not something we're walking into somebody else's house. This is ours. It's got our ideas all over it.
It's so wonderful to feel settled and know that this is our home.